There will be a fourth day, there will be a fourth innings, and there will be quite a bit riding on it because Ollie Pope has resurrected England in Hyderabad. They finished day three, 316 for six, having taken a 126 run lead over India, all thanks primarily to a sensational century from Ollie Pope. We don't get to see that too often in the second innings for visiting teams. A day that belongs to England, the first time they can say that this series. Let's dive straight into it with Sanjay Manjrekar on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. Thank you as always, Sanjay, for your time. And we have to begin by lauding this batting effort because it's not too often. To represent it numerically, the last time a visiting side managed to cross 300 in the second innings of a test in India, it was England in Nagpur in 2012.
Yes, I remember that test match well. It was a series that they won. I think the last test match may have been drawn. So, yes, that pitch was different. I thought it was an easy batting surface. This wasn't. And you got to say, I've seen Kevin Peterson, as an English batter, get a fantastic 100 at the Wankhede Stadium. I've seen Steve Smith get 100 for Australia in Pune. I think Ollie Pope has played one of the finest innings that we've seen in recent times from a foreign batter on a pitch like this. So, yeah, one of the finest hundreds that you'll see. And the potential that England showed in the first innings, well, you can see in the second inning, there's something there with their batting. If they can sort out their bowling, we'll have a fantastic series.
Yeah, so let's jump straight into Ollie Pope then, because he finishes 148 not out. This from a batter who had over 9 previous test innings in India, scored a total of 154 runs, never crossed 35. What did he change?
See, we talked about his front foot play in the first innings. In fact, we had a close look at his technique. And to be fair, he started off in that fashion, but there was one very important difference in the way he played in the first as opposed to the second. He still trusted his front foot game, but if you look at the first few balls that he faced, he got onto the front foot, but it was a very purposeful, reaction and effort where he got onto the front foot and he was looking for ones and twos. He was looking to score. And that's something maybe Shubman Gill could incorporate into his batting because he also likes to get onto the front foot. But this time, Ollie Pope was trying to score off the front foot. And then the odd sweep and the reverse sweep. Towards the end in the coverage, we saw him actually play right back on the back foot and counter some of the balls that kept really low. So he needed some initial luck to survive. You always need on a pitch like this. But what he showed was a great mindset to begin with, thinking about runs, rotating stride more than trying to survive.
And the partnership that's taken England to this position where they can dare to dream, if we could say, in the last couple of days of this test, was the one between Ollie Pope and Ben Foakes. 163 for 5, Sanjay, when Foakes joins Pope in the middle. And India take a few quick wickets and there's not much of a target left from that point. It's also been 4 years since a visiting side had a century plus stand for a 6 wicket or lower in India. These things don't happen so often. That stand will be vital in the context of this game.
Yes, I mean, it's got England, in a much better position. It's got India to bat again. But when you look at that English bowling attack, the spin attack, and not too much of pace option, if they had Jimmy Anderson, they would be thinking, under pressure slightly, India, Jimmy Anderson could have found a way, just like Bumrah, to trouble the batters, but their spin attack will not allow them to get too ambitious about what's in store. But coming to this stage in itself is brilliant, and that partnership, just taking on from Duckett and Ollie Pope, you saw the keeper as well come in, and Ben Foakes come in and, look quite comfortable out there. One important thing that you've got to bear in mind is that when you have a pitch like this in Hyderabad that we have, the last session is always the easiest session to play. Now, what you'll see tomorrow morning, day 3 or day 4 morning, is that there will be a little more bite, and that will allow the Indian spinners to quickly get the rest of the wickets.
Just on the England batting, did we see a recalibration of baseball? If you just go through, I mean, they are still batting at 4.1, which is perhaps norm now for this English side. But if you go through the amount of time their batters, even the ones who didn't make big knocks, Bairstow made 10 of 24. Stokes, we know, starts slowly, even in this baseball team. And even Ben Foakes has spent a good amount of 80 plus balls and scoring 34. So, have we seen a tempering of the approach to be a little more prudent?
I think what you saw in the second innings was each man to his own, finding his own way of trying to make the most of the situation. We mentioned yesterday about guys who are secure in defense, won't be looking to play as much aggressively or play the reverse sweep and all those, out of the box shots. So guys who are comfortable in defense to begin with, which I found Ben Foakes was. So he didn't really need to go and try and unsettle the bowler. The counter attack wasn't needed for guys who are secure in defense. But you saw that we only Pope to an extent as some of the other batters. So I thought in this particular innings, there wasn't a universal approach of the baseball approach, but each player finding his own way to first survive and make the most of his ability and what the challenges were.
Let's talk about the Indian bowling effort on the third day. India's highlight of the day, by some distance, was that spell from Jasprit Bumrah at the start of the second session. Should have got Duckett LBW. India didn't review, got him bowled, then got Joe Root. Let's have your say on that spell, that burst from Bumrah, showing that he's a conditions agnostic bowler.
That's a good term to have for Bumrah. Um, the best bowler on view today, considering that he had absolutely nothing in the pitch. And that spell where he got Joe Root out, I mean, to get through the defense of somebody like Joe Root on a pitch like this, it's not easy. This is a guy who's got 30 test hundreds and 60 50. So that was brilliant. Getting a set batsman out twice, Ben Duckett was another brilliant example of what Bumrah can do. So when the ball was really reverse swinging more, actually when it was about 20 years old rather than much later, he made the most of that particular spell. And I thought that was brilliant captaincy. Once the reverse sweep started spoiling the party for India, Bumrah came in and got India right back in the game. Just goes to show the champion bowler that he is one of the sharpest, I think, cricketing mind and sharpest thinking fast bowler that I've seen in my life, using the slow ball as well in test matches, something that most fast bowlers around the world are very reluctant to do for some reason.
Before we move to how the spinners operated on day three, Mohammad Siraj bowled 3 overs in this innings. India bowled 77. 3 overs to Siraj on a day when not a lot was happening for the spinners. Would you have wanted to see more of Siraj being used?
I thought Rohit Sharma saw what kind of effect Siraj was having on the batters with the pitch that we had. Siraj is more a release kind of bowler, whereas Bumrah is somebody who hits the pitch hard. He got more reverse swing and just a little extra sort of thrust in the deliveries, and hence was getting a little more reaction. Siraj wasn't ideally suited for this kind of a pitch. It makes you, go back to few years where Umesh Yadav would come in at this stage and get you a couple of wickets and get you right back in the game. He had that kind of style to get those wickets. Mohammad Siraj today seemed unsuited, and hence Rohit Sharma didn't go to him as much as we would have liked.
So then let's talk about the spinners. Ashwin, Jadeja, Aksar, a combination which definitely isn't used to visiting teams lasting this much, especially in the second innings of tests. They've gone through a day where a combined total of 62 overs have cost 263 runs with 4 wickets. How much of that do you attribute to England being much better, and what do you think they could have done differently, if at all?
See, normally I'm very good at picking flaws and mistakes in people. That's a natural trait that I have. But I was scratching my head to find out, where Indian spinners went wrong, and you've got to say it was all England, the way they batted. I don't think Jadeja and Ashwin have been challenged as much, especially Jadeja. Normally, he's pinpoint accurate. He's got that little area just around off stump where he gets the ball to turn away, and the same ball comes back in, grabs the batter on the pad. He wasn't allowed to bowl there consistently, so he was made to bowl differently. Same with Ashwin too, and to an extent Akshar Patel. So it was all credit to English batters that the Indian spinners had to work so much to get their wickets. The only thing maybe the coaching staff would show the Indian spinners is the length that they bowl, because it's clear now as we see this pitch evolving that area where generally have the bowlers rough, where they follow through and you have a couple of or three sort of rough spots. You have a rough area at both ends on this pitch. And I guess that wasn't used enough. Ben Stokes was actually bowled when Ashwin bowled that length, that ball into that rough area. So maybe more balls in that area. But as I said, the morning session will give Indian spinners a little more bite.
Right then, setting up what day four could be, England lead by 126 going into it. Everything you see of this pitch, which does not appear to be one with a lot of demons in it, and everything you've said about the English bowling attack, what sort of target makes the chase become uneasy for India?
See, this is a very interesting surface, and because of my experience playing a lot on Indian pitches at the domestic and at the international level. So there are these pitches where if the surface is dry and a bit crumbly, but if the base is really nice, and it happens at the Wankhede Stadium where I played on day 2 and found that the pitch had more vicious turn than day 4. So it's not like the usual where you see the pitch really crumbling away, especially in foreign places where the cracks open up and it becomes really difficult to survive. We've seen India get 400. We've seen England, a foreign team, in their first Test match get so many runs. I think there will be bite in the morning session, but India will fancy getting good score and considering. I think that is going to be the main feature, isn't it? The spin attack of England that we saw in the first innings. Can they prevent India from getting whatever target they said? The big challenge for India is to get the English batters out, because there is a threat that they might actually build on this lead, but then eventually their spinners will have to protect that target. Are they capable of doing that?
That will be the question that will dictate the flow of this test. One thing's assured, everything we've heard of the pitch and seen of it, at least this first test is going to end without crazy debates around the pitch, which can be such a talking point through these series. And the other thing that's assured, Sanjay, is that we will get a working Sunday together. A lot of the previous tests we've worked on haven't given us the luxury, but that will happen this time. So I look forward to your company then. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
That's all from us. We
Thank you.
look forward to day 4 of India versus England in Hyderabad.